The high-speed rail is set to unite Northern and Southern California. Voters approved it. The Obama administration wants to help fund it. The trains should be on their way, but not so fast.
We cannot afford this frivolous project.
Some Californians want to put on the brakes. We'll look at high-speed rail on this edition of Equal Time.
From San Jose State University and KTEH, you're watching Equal Time, exploring new issues each week, giving equal time to competing points of view.
Welcome to San Jose State University and this edition of Equal Time. I'm journalism professor Bob Rucker. Some people love the idea of going from the Bay Area to Los Angeles lickety-split without ever going through airports. Some communities, however, are concerned, and some people are worried about the price tag, some $40 billion. Ryan Kern looks at both sides, beginning with those who want to derail the system.
I don't know how you do that by class action.
Inside the Burlingame Library, Peninsula residents are learning what they can do about something they see as a new threat to their communities. This session is not about gangs or natural disasters, but something that around 60% of them voted for: high-speed rail.
We can decide for ourselves what works for us, and you can't just drive an elevated freeway with high-speed trains through the middle of the best of California's communities.
Depending on where the rail will be located, home and business owners throughout Northern California fear drastic changes to their towns.
This reeks of big business and doing something that makes people money, not doing good for people.
All right, good kick, buddy.
Peninsula Swim School owner John Aitken says his land will be taken and replaced by the rail right-of-way. He believes California is financially better off without it.
We cannot afford this frivolous project. It's not about a value of whether it's going to ever be ridden. California is not growing at the rate that they originally were projecting. The ridership numbers are totally bogus. It's never going to run without subsidies.
Between San Diego, Sacramento, and San Francisco, the train stops more than 24 times. But Aitken says some of the stops are not cost efficient.
Alternative for the 21st century.
People are going to want to stop in Redwood City when they're only 8 minutes away from San Francisco, coming from somewhere else to dine and stay on vacation. I mean, do you really think downtown Redwood City, I love the city, but that's just so totally ridiculous.
Voters were as giddy as kids playing in water about the possibility of superfast travel. In 2008, when Proposition 1A was passed, it allowed the high-speed rail project to begin. Concerns over inflated ridership estimates and understated costs have risen, and the people want answers. The High-Speed Rail Authority, a group appointed by the governor and state senate and assembly leaders, runs the project and its projections. Many people want them to release their information. State Senator Joe Simidian proposed accountability measures to the governor's office for the authority last year, demanding financial updates, community outreach efforts, and address management problems.
Now there's really no mechanism to force the kind of accountability on the High-Speed Rail Authority that I really do think they need if they're going to prove they can deliver a credible project.
Former Governor Schwarzenegger vetoed the proposal, saying it would put added pressures on top of their already tight federal deadlines.
If ever the High-Speed Rail Authority needed credibility and trust with the public, now is the time. And I think in the absence of these accountability measures, it's going to be that much harder for the High-Speed Rail Authority to generate that kind of trust and credibility.
The California High-Speed Rail Authority plans to build an elevated platform with 4 sets of tracks as high as 87 feet tall in San Jose. Environmental attorney Gary Patton is part of the legal team for the Community Coalition on High-Speed Rail and the Planning and Conservation League, 2 organizations that say they want high-speed rail, quote, done right or not done at all.
You got to really look at the alternatives, not just brush them off. And the authorities just they know what they want to do and get out of their way because they're doing God's work. That's how they look at it.
Some Peninsula City officials say if high-speed rail must go through the heart of their towns, it should be in an underground alignment or covered trench. Supporters say high-speed rail will move California into the future, creating jobs, improving air quality, and connecting the state more efficiently than air travel. But for some, it's not so admirable.
In Palo Alto, it would create basically a 4-mile long wall, 20 to 30 feet high, which would divide our community on an east-west line.
Many people enjoying the good life on the peninsula say their rejection of the high-speed rail is more than a case of not in my backyard. They say going through with the current plan in this bad economy would be like throwing money into the deep end.
When we come back, we'll take a look at the design and benefits of this speedy system.
The benefits are multiple.
When Equal Time comes right back. Great if you could have breakfast in San Jose and possibly lunch at Disneyland. Just one of the benefits of a possible high-speed rail system. Ryan Kern continues our report looking at more of the benefits.
From here at the Diridon station in San Jose, it can take as long as 10 hours on Amtrak to make it to LA. Compare that to the plan's high-speed rail, which promises a trip in just 2 hours. Dion Champy of Paso Robles routinely commutes to Los Angeles, then catches a flight to Houston.
I'm looking for a way to get to LAX or up here to San Jose, and I live in Central California, so it would be nice to have a way to get there efficiently.
And get there on the government's dime. A Harris poll in February showed 70% of those responding in California support state and federal funding for high-speed rail.
High-speed rail would help with, not having to take as much time off of work, being able to get back home, and it would make things much easier.
If all goes to plan, construction will begin by 2012.
It's the kind of a system that we should have had 30 years ago.
Former High-Speed Rail Authority board member Rod Diridon says the $9 billion voters approved in 2008 will be well spent.
That's a pretty good deal. California voters put up about 20%. The rest of the people in the United States and private industry and so on put up the 80%, and California gets a world-class high-speed rail system.
To help pay for the $43 billion project, some of the federal money that was bound for high-speed rail in other states is heading to California. Rejection by other governors means at least $600 million more dollars for California's project.
The benefits are multiple. The first and most obvious benefit is the economic vitality created by the construction project.
Diridon says it will create 160,000 jobs. Another upside is the environment. The United States creates 30% of greenhouse gases that contribute to global warming. The high-speed rail would be an electric-run system, decreasing the use of oil and smog production from cars and planes. The system is expected to cost about half as much as building new airport runways and gates, as well as expanding highways.
So linking high-speed rail with airports makes perfect sense to enhance the ability for people to get around, to move people and goods through a system that takes out the inefficiencies, reduces the time, and perhaps making better use of resources.
San Jose Mineta Airport Communications Director David Vosbrink says the airport would lose short-haul passenger traffic around California, but Diridon says that's a plus for the environment.
If we can get those people to ride the train that are currently riding short-hop airlines, then we've taken a huge step forward in terms of fighting against global warming and the importation of foreign oil, which is currently creating a huge deficit balance of trade for the United States.
Another projected benefit would be to improve California's economic status.
So we have to catch up if we intend to continue to maintain our position as an economic leader in the world. And high-speed rail is the single most obvious way to accomplish that objective.
Even if high-speed rail comes to California, it may not put the country on the fast-track map. Currently, China leads the way, with 2,800 miles of high-speed rail line. The Obama administration has a goal of getting just half of the rails China currently has by the middle of the century. The question is, will California lead the way?
When we come back, we'll sit down with a panel of experts to hammer out the details of a high-speed rail system when Equal Time continues.